All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Marco Balance. My name is Mark, and I'm excited to finally do another Star Wars story interview where I bring on a guest and they tell me their Star Wars origin story and kind of where their love for the series came from. So excited to bring on another one of my old teammates from Florida Tech who I played baseball with. He was one of our pitchers, and again, someone that I didn't know was a big Star Wars fan until I started the page and the podcast, and they've been a great supporter and have liked a lot of the posts. So happy to bring on Jimmy Bascone to the podcast. Say hi to everyone, Jimmy.
Hey everyone, pleasure to be on.
Yeah, and I want to get into this because like I said, I know you're a big Star Wars fan just based on your presence on Instagram. I mean, obviously you like my posts, but when I go on these meme pages, like the Star Wars meme pages, or like any reels that come up on any of the new Star Wars content, it always shows me that you either follow the page or you like the post. So I'm like, this guy is a big Star Wars fan. I gotta get him on the show. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Yeah, you know what? I think Instagram just has that suggestion box going out for me.
Yeah, it's
And
really funny that it pops up your name for some reason. It's always like Jimmy Bascone and others liked this post or they follow it. So didn't mean to put you on blast there on your Instagram presence. Uh, but I just want to start at the beginning. What was your first Star Wars memory? And if you can't remember what that specific memory was, what was that first Star Wars project that really hooked you to the franchise?
yeah, I feel like it goes back to Revenge of the Sith. I would say like my most profound memory is, being in the theaters for that, with like my entire family. And one of the biggest things was, and my mom brings it up every time we watch the movie. She stood up in the movie theater while Anakin was, evolving into Darth Vader and screamed out, "Don't do it, Anakin!" And definitely got some chuckles. It was a funny moment.
That's amazing. I remember when I saw it in the movie theaters, I brought a lightsaber and I like ignited it in the middle of the movie or like the beginning, but that's a great story. I've never heard of anyone say that, but I feel like she was saying what we were all thinking. I feel like every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, I'm like, Anakin, don't do it this time. Just this one time, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was a whole family thing, you said. So did your mom get you into Star Wars? Did your dad get you into Star Wars? Brothers, sisters? Who was kind of the inception of your love for Star Wars?
Yeah, my mom was a huge movie fan in general,
Hmm.
and I am as well, just because of her. And I kind of grew up around people, close family friends that were all into Star Wars. So it was actually a cool, like, little community. Like, all my parents' friends loved it. So it was like their kids loved it, and we just hit it off, and like we're total nerds for it. It was awesome.
That's great. That's the point of Star Wars, right? Pass it down from generation to generation. Do you guys still have like big family discussions about all the new Star Wars stuff that come out? And is there any, heated debates on like what do you guys think of the new stuff and if you don't like it or if you really love it?
Yeah, it's kind of died down a bit. Like with my entire family, it's kind of me and my mom's thing
Hmm,
now.
nice.
I keep telling her she's got to keep up with everything because there's like all the animated stuff that she misses out on. I'm like, you got to get hooked. You got to start watching it, or you're just gonna fall behind. With Ahsoka, like she hasn't watched Clone Wars, she hasn't watched Rebels, so it's like, and she wants to watch it. I'm like, you're not gonna know what's going on.
I'm hoping she comes around to it because, the animation is such good storytelling in Star Wars and some of the best we have. And I feel like a lot of the live action shows now are so based on what happened in Clone Wars and Rebels. So that like transitions me perfectly into Clone Wars and Rebels because Clone Wars came out only a couple of years after Revenge of the Sith, and I know you're a big fan. Did you watch Clone Wars when it first came out on Cartoon Network, or did you kind of discover it a bit later when it was on like Netflix or Disney Plus?
You know what? I watched it when it originally came out, but never fully got through like the first couple seasons, and then picked it back up like, almost towards the end, probably the last two seasons, and then rewatched all of it.
Hmm.
So I don't even know why I stopped in the first place, but I mean, it's great stuff, and it's honestly it's some of the best Star Wars stuff that's come out. And I see on your page all the time how about how you enjoy the animation and you wish there was more animated stuff, and
Hmm.
that I don't know how there's I know you're not crazy about the live action. I mean, you are, but there's certain bits that you wish were animated, and I agree. And that there could be more spin-offs that could be animated. Not everything has to be live action.
Yeah, there's so much freedom with animation, and I feel like animation has been the most consistent. Like Rebels, Clone Wars, and even now Bad Batch. I know it for me at least. It took some time to really get going and really get good, but I feel like now it's in a really good spot. So I just yeah, like you said, I think not everything has to be live action. I think especially Disney is known for their animation. Like why wouldn't they lean into that? When it comes to Clone Wars, what are some of your favorite moments, like off the top of your head, that just get to you? Because I know there's so many.
Yeah, there's a lot. I just love how they introduce, so many more characters, so many more planets, races, all that. That's just stuff you didn't see, between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So exploring that, and meeting all these characters, and how they actually interact behind the scenes that you don't, see in those movies,
Hmm.
how everything's connected. I don't know if I have a specific moment.
Yeah, no, that's all good. I know it's 7 seasons worth of content, but no, I love the way you put that because I think it is a very underrated aspect of Clone Wars, like how many characters and just how like much the lore of Star Wars was expanded on with like the races that we might have just like seen in the Cantina bar in A New Hope, but now we have like a full understanding of that culture and everything. So I think that's such a great part of Clone Wars. Are there any other Star Wars TV shows that really stick out to you? I know at this point we've had so many live action and animation, but what are some other ones that are your favorites across all the TV shows that we've gotten?
Yeah, there was definitely a buzz with Mandalorian. I definitely enjoy that. There's certain areas where it gets very Disney. I'm not crazy about those episodes, but overall, I do really enjoy it. My mom does watch that one. She loves
Good.
that. But I would say my favorite show is Andor. I think
Yes, Jimmy. Yes, Jimmy.
that was incredibly done, and I'm looking forward to the new season. It's it's a great story, and it definitely is a good spin-off, and it's not like insanely connected to other storylines. So
Yeah, I think, what you said in the beginning about just being a fan of movies and TV in general. I think, Andor kind of speaks to that because it's just a well-made show that you don't necessarily need to be a Star Wars fan to enjoy. If you just enjoy like the highest quality of production, writing, and acting, like it's Andor. So I think that aligns, and yeah, I cannot wait for season two. That's going to be amazing. You mentioned a lot of characters being introduced in Clone Wars. Who are some of your favorite characters across all of Star Wars, from the movies, TV shows, even video games with the Jedi Survivor games? Like who are some of your favorite characters?
it's hard to not, go straight out forward and be like naming all the Jedi and Sith that I enjoy.
Hey.
But overall, a couple of my favorites, Obi-Wan is just number one for me
Hmm.
in all aspects. I do love Count Dooku and Qui-Gon and that relationship, and I was so glad that Tales of Jedi had those couple of episodes, that like showed that, and even the transition to post Qui-Gon and how Dooku developed after that. And I actually, I loved seeing Ahsoka throughout all Clone Wars, and now that she had her own show now. But it's such a like kind of a letdown that she wasn't in the live action in the originally.
Mm. Yeah, like the
Um,
prequels.
yeah, because
Hmm.
if you didn't watch Clone Wars, she's in the entire thing, and you just don't see her.
Yeah, it's amazing that they took that risk, Dave and George, to add this character that we don't even see in the prequels, but she ends up being one of the biggest reasons that Anakin becomes Darth Vader. So that's like so cool. I love that you brought up Count Dooku and Qui-Gon. Are you a book like, or do you read any of the books, any of the Star Wars books, or any of the audio books? Do you listen to?
I do not. I'm not a big into the read, but
Okay, all good. All good. I was just gonna make a recommendation if you wanted some more of that, but totally understand if you're not a reader. But yeah, we'll just skip the library talk. That's fine. Um, what other than Andor season two, what are some other Star Wars projects that you're most looking forward to? I know there's like so many on the horizon. We have I think three movies announced. We have like the Acolyte, which is the High Republic. We have Skeleton Crew, which is kind of being marketed as this Stranger Things, Star Wars kind of melding of genres. What are some of your most anticipated series coming or movies?
yeah, I haven't looked too deep, but I know off the top of my head they have not sure the exact title, but it's the ancient
Yeah.
Jedi.
Hmm.
And I think that would be awesome. I don't know how they're going to do it,
Yeah.
but I think throwing it back to that would be awesome, and give people that history lesson. That's a great position to go back to. But I mean, if it's well done, I think it could be, a real hit. So
Yeah, I think, going into just like totally different time periods, like saying, I think they said it was like 25,000 years before the prequels, like just going into those new time periods and just exploring characters and like conflicts that have no bearing on the galaxy now. So they have like all this freedom to just tell whatever story they want. I think that is such a good idea. And I actually hope they stay kind of in that ancient time. Maybe it's not the same as the movie, but just way before anything. I know the Old Republic always gets thrown around, which would be really cool as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Are you kind of in that train where we kind of want to leave that Skywalker saga's timeline and just kind of explore new things and not have to rely on, oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know this person. Oh, I know that person. Like, do you want to see Star Wars kind of branch out in those directions?
yeah, 100%. If you want to go back and continue that, here and there, that's cool. But I think, yeah, going back and just branching off, even creating, new characters that, nobody knows for the most part.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
And when it comes to video games, I know a lot of people say, Star Wars video games are a big part of their childhood. I know for me, I played Battlefront, I played Lego Star Wars. Were Star Wars video games any piece of your kind of fandom and affinity for Star Wars when you were younger, or even now? Are you still playing Star Wars video games, or not really into the Star Wars games?
I played is it Jedi Survivor? The
Mm-hmm.
Not the
Yep.
most recent one that came out, but the previous one a couple years ago. Played
Yeah.
that. Really enjoyed that. That actually brought some characters in as well, and I like that about that too. Back in the day, I did play some Battlefront. That was
Mm-hmm.
a big thing on the PlayStation 2, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was huge. That was different. And I actually got the Lego Star Wars, the recent one. I used to play the old one as well. I
Yeah.
don't think I got very far in the new Lego Star Wars, but back in.
Yeah, I played it. It's different because there's like the nostalgia goggles are kind of off. They definitely upgraded it, but yeah, I mean, I don't think anything could beat those old days of playing Lego Star Wars with like a friend or something on like the PS2. So I know we talked about a lot of like upcoming projects, and I like to ask this question to people just to kind of give them the freedom to answer it if they want to. But what's something you want to see in Star Wars that maybe we haven't seen or they've tried to do, but you think they could have done it better? So, is it a story that maybe used to be not canon, but you want it to come into canon? Is there anything that you're like, I'd love to see this in Star Wars?
Not entirely. I like the way they did Bad Batch,
Mm,
in a sense with like a kind of a clone spin-off kind of, cast and that whole dynamic post, Revenge of the Sith. I thought that was unique, and I love how that played in, directly after Revenge of the Sith. But I'm not sure, you know, I don't think I have an exact, other storyline I could think of.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a tough question. I know because it's just like so nebulous, but I do like to open the floor and see because sometimes people just have like really out there ideas that actually sound pretty cool. So I'm always curious when it comes to that kind of stuff. So let's see, we've talked about so many different aspects of Star Wars, and I feel like I always enjoy asking, what do you like most about Star Wars from just a theme perspective? Do you like Star Wars because of the themes, the world building, or do you like Star Wars because of, the visual effects, the action, the kind of like space combat? Like where do you kind of fall on that spectrum, or do you kind of just love that it all comes together in this kind of symphony of just Star Wars?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely love how it all comes together.
hmm
But I think like the whole fantasy lore is incredible and how deep the rabbit hole goes.
hmm
And how much you can learn, so much every day about it. It's pretty awesome. But I think it's more of like a historical, presence, how, the timeline is, and I guess how much it's changed, and I guess the characters they bring in. There's so many different characters that I enjoy from every movie. So
hmm
I would say definitely the lore, and it's such a unique and awesome. Yeah, awesome fantasy.
Yeah, like you said, the lore goes as deep as you want it to go. Like if you want to keep digging, you can keep going, and it's out there. And I feel like there's so much more that they could explore. That even though we've gotten so much, it's like it almost feels like a drop in the pond. Like I feel like you can do so much more, and that's not criticizing what we've gotten, but yeah, it's kind of just this endless like fountain of just content that they can keep pulling from and keep exploring. And I love how you put it with like history, like the galaxy at this point has like this history to it, and I love how they kind of jump around and give us these little history lessons into, oh, what here's rebels, here's what happened between 3 and 4 and how the rebellion started, here's Bad Batch, like you said, between 3 and 4, like what happened to all of these clones that either did Order 66 or didn't go through with it. So yeah, I like how you kind of tied all that together. So I think I usually like to end this with the Star Wars movie rankings. All 11 films. We can include Rogue One and Solo if you want. We can leave them out if not, and then we can just rank the 9 Skywalker Saga films. How do you want to do it? And then we'll start, from the bottom, your least favorite, and then we'll work our way up. So are we including Rogue One and Solo or no?
No.
No? Okay. But you liked Andor, so we know Rogue One probably would have done well, right?
Yes, I Rogue One is a great one. I love Solo too. But yeah, we can get into the nine. Let's do it.
All right. So what's your least favorite? What's number 9?
I would say number eight, Last Jedi,
Mm,
is down there. I would say it just didn't have the plot and transition that I wanted between the two.
hmm
Yeah, it's hard to put anything below that out of
Yeah.
those nine.
Yeah, I like Last Jedi, but I totally understand. Like, I definitely think the plot was kind of all over the place, and like you said, it's the middle film in a trilogy, so it had a hard job to do, and I don't think it did it well enough, unfortunately. So sequels were never planned, so can't fully blame Last Jedi, but yeah, no, I definitely hear a lot of Last Jedi at the bottom. All right, so what's number 8 as we move up?
I would say Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't like it, but some of the nostalgic stuff has to come before, just in my head. I really enjoyed Force Awakens, so the next two kind of, were a little drop off for me.
Yeah, but I think Force Awakens was just like really fun, like a really fun movie.
Yeah, it was a good intro, and it was like visually appealing. Even though I had that at seven, or yeah, at seven, I have that next. But
Okay, so you have Force Awakens at 7.
yeah,
Got it. All
it,
right.
I did enjoy it,
Yeah.
but it just comes back to those originals.
All right. So number 6, we've got the sequels out of the way already. So now we're gonna be working with all of George Lucas's stuff.
All right, I got The Empire Strikes Back.
Whoa. Whoa. I love it. I love it. Let's hear it.
I actually rewatched it last week. And of those three, that was my least favorite. Maybe because not that it was in between the two, but I just like the plot of the other two better. No hate on it.
No, yeah, yeah. Jimmy, you definitely have the lowest rank for Empire Strikes Back of anyone that's ever come on. So you have, yeah, I mean, you have that crown for sure. All right,
um,
so that was number six. All right, number five.
New Hope. I do enjoy it. That's one of like my most memorable. I think I've watched that the most out of all of them.
Hmm.
I think it was well done, but that's where it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah. No, no other comment. So number four now. So we're number four.
I have Return of the Jedi.
All right. I like how you've kept the trilogies intact so far. You've had the sequels in the
Yeah,
bottom three, and then the originals in the next three. Return of the Jedi, number four. Favorite original trilogy movie. What stood out to you about that one?
I would say just how it wraps up everything. I'm not sure.
Hey,
uh,
sometimes the movies just speak to you.
yeah, right.
I love the ending. I mean, Return of the Jedi is my favorite original trilogy movie. I mean, it changes between that and Empire Strikes Back, but I love how they ended Return of the Jedi. I think it's like so perfect how it brings everything together.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so now we got the prequels left for the top three spots. So what's number three for you?
Okay. It's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
It could go either way, but I do have Attack of the Clones. I love all these, and they probably the most stood out to me just because it was, right when I was, starting to get into them.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were just, they had the visuals this time around, and overall, just love those movies. At number two, I have Phantom Menace,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's where it all started.
And I think it's heavily underrated. I think Phantom Menace is very underrated. I love the last like hour and a half where it's just like five different battles going on between like the
Yeah.
Gungans, Darth Maul, the space battle, all of it just going on at once.
Yes, I agree. And it's, I hate you can't count out the Darth Maul Qui-Gon.
Yeah, come on.
That's those some great characters. I also have Darth Maul as one of my top characters for sure.
Yeah, Clone Wars. I mean, what a character revival.
Yeah, I love that. And then the
No
number one
surprise here.
spot. Yep. Revenge of the Sith. Overall, amazing from start to finish. And yeah, it's some of the best cinematic stuff ever.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan is the man.
Yeah, he has so many good one-liners in that movie. And yeah, it's so epic and it holds up so well today. Was Revenge of the Sith your first Star Wars movie? I know you said it was like the first memory that you remember, but did you watch like Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones before it, or did you go back after Revenge of the Sith and watch those two?
No, I believe I watched them in order.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that was just, I would say the most dominant memory for sure.
Yeah,
But
so Phantom Menace was I mean, that makes sense. Phantom Menace was your first Star Wars movie, so sitting at number two, that checks out.
yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I like the list. I appreciate the groupings. I don't think anyone's ever like grouped them like so together in their trilogies, but I appreciate the grouping, and I think the list again makes sense for the generation that you grew up in. And yeah, I love that we got the Darth Maul character nod to one of your favorite characters. So yeah, no, appreciate the list. I know. Do you have anything to say about like Rogue One and Solo, even though they didn't make the list? I know you said you really liked both of them. But did you want to talk about either of those movies a little bit?
Yeah, I think Solo was good action
Hmm.
overall in the movie. Story was okay enough.
Yeah, enough.
I don't think anything significant memory wise that I love about it. On the other hand, Rogue One gave that Andor vibe, and I think was overall excellently done.
I'm so happy that like Rogue One introduced that grittiness to Star Wars that we maybe hadn't seen before. And now we have shows like Andor, and hopefully we have a lot more shows like Andor in the future too.
Now to bring it back to you said what I would like to see
Oh, here
in
we go. Yes, got him.
because we brought up Darth Maul,
Hmm.
would be, and we were introduced to that in Ahsoka and Rebels with like and Clone Wars, like the Night Sisters, Dathomir, Darth Maul, that whole relationship. I think that could be like awesomely expanded on, in like a mini series or whatever, not necessarily a movie, but I think there's a lot more to unwrap there.
So before Phantom Menace, like when Palpatine finds him, like that time period, or the time period after, like when Palpatine shows up in in Clone Wars and kills Savage and takes Darth Maul away, and then the next time we see him, he's back on Mandalore. So which where did you want to kind of go with this story?
I would say prior to Phantom Menace, so just like the original of Darth Maul and kind of that whole magical thing they have going on and how that interacts with other groups because I'm sure there's a lot of history.
Yeah, I think it is. It would be interesting because Darth Maul is such like a static character. Even though he's like interesting, like his whole goal in the prequels and Clone Wars is just revenge, 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 and it would be interesting to see where that dark side came from within him to then work with Palpatine and what Palpatine saw in him. Like, wow, I'm the most powerful Sith in the galaxy. I want to train this specific Zobrek on this planet of Dathomir. Like, what attracted him to him?
Definitely.
Well, Jimmy, I think we've hit on so many great things, and we've talked about like all the characters, all the shows, and yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or do you think we did a good job and we can wrap this up?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
Great conversation.
Absolutely, man. I am, of course, really appreciating of all the likes and support on the podcast page on Instagram. And like I said in the beginning, this has been a long time coming. Been looking forward to this conversation and hearing about your Star Wars fandom. So again, thank you for coming on. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I enjoy your content a lot. I love seeing the posts on the page. Yeah, I'd be happy to come back on anytime.
I appreciate it, man. So, thank you guys all for listening. If you want to have more content like this, follow me on Instagram at star_wars_mark of balance. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the force be with you. Peace.